This episode is presented by Perlage Systems.
Try this punch for one. I'm Brian Johnson, and in this episode of Better Cocktails at Home, we're going to be making the Royal Bay Punch. Now, this episode is part of our carbonation series, which is presented by Perlage Systems. So we're talking about carbonation, or we're talking about how it impacts the cocktail. In this particular cocktail, this is original mine, we are going to be adding champagne at the end, so that's where the carbonation comes into. It's a really nice kind of light cocktail, and we're going to make it right now. And this one's a built cocktail, so that means we're going to build in the glass we're going to serve it in. And so I like to start with, our first thing is lemon oleo saccharum. Now, I want to show you this. So this is how you make oleo saccharum. And basically what you do is you take the peel from a lemon, or really any citrus, and put it in sugar and let it kind of, you can muddle it to kind of get it started, but you can just let it sit there, and over the course of a couple hours, all the oils are going to extract from the peel and go into the sugar and kind of make it this like slurry mix. And it's really delicious stuff because it's got all that like citrus flavor, in this case lemon, and it's really good. So I've already gone ahead and done that. For this cocktail, or punch, if you want to call it, we're going to do about a teaspoon of the lemon oleo saccharum. And then our next ingredient is going to be lemon juice. And we're going to add 1 ounce of that. And add that. And then we're going to do 1 ounce of black tea. And then add that to our glass. Next ingredient in the base spirit in this cocktail is pisco. And in this case, Encanto, which I really like. I think it's a nice representation of what pisco is. And yeah, so it's a kind of a one you see sometimes using punches, but it's delicious nonetheless. We're going to do 2 ounces of this. And add that. Those are most of our ingredients. And because you have that oleo saccharum sugar in there, I like to give it a stir at this point just to kind of start dissolving it, because as you add the ice and you chill it down, it gets a little bit harder to dissolve, so you want to do a little bit in advance. It doesn't have to be perfect because, like I said, we're going to add ice and add a little bit of water to this too. You don't have to get it totally dissolved, because once you add the ice, you'll stir again. At this point, we're going to add our ice. Now we're going to want to stir to chill it and add a little bit of dilution from the ice cubes. And of course, you can taste it along the way and adjust it as you see fit, but I found these particular ratios with the stuff I'm using works pretty well. So finally we get to where we're going to add our carbonation, champagne or sparkling wine, whatever you happen to be using. And this is the Perlage Champagne Preservation System. And this is a really cool thing. I really like it for home users, because what it does is basically allows you to open a bottle of champagne, use a small amount of it, and then basically you're recarbonating the bottle, and so it maintains carbonation, doesn't go flat, and so you dole out as you see fit, over a period of time, which is great for the home bartender, because champagne cocktails usually I find myself I don't really make them all that often, because it's like you use a couple ounces, maybe 4 ounces or something, and then it's like, okay, well I have a whole bottle of champagne, so unless you're going to drink it, it kind of goes to waste, and so you don't make them all that often. So I really like that. This can help you explore champagne cocktails in an economical way. And so really with this, I just like to top it. I mean, we're talking maybe 1 ounce or so of champagne, not a lot. Just enough to give that flavor and a touch of carbonation. And then when you're done, you want to spray a little bit of CO2 in there, put that on, and then recarbonate. And then that's ready for next time you want to make cocktails or just have a glass of champagne. And then finally for a garnish, after I make my oleo saccharum, I like to keep the lemon peels. It's almost like a candied lemon peel, really. And I'll just throw it in there as a garnish. Looks nice. That's it, though. It's very light. So pisco is a great base brandy. So it kind of goes well with your sparkling wine or champagne, whichever one you have to be using. And so you could definitely get that like grape flavor. But one of the reasons I really like it is I think the flavors really meld well together. So it's not like you can kind of like, oh, this is, you know, that's pisco, and then you have lemon over here, and you have tea over here. You know, I feel like it's very cohesive, and so it's harder to pick out the individual components. But like I said, it's kind of like I've sized it to kind of like as a larger, it's not, you know, it's bigger than a normal cocktail. Because it's kind of a punch, I kind of intend it for one person. You make one of these, you can sip it over a course of time. But obviously you can scale it up if you want to. So yeah, it's a great way to kind of highlight champagne, or what it can do for cocktails, add a little bit of flavor, a touch of fizz, and some really, so it's a nice example of that. So that's how you make the Royal Bay Punch.